Tonight on Primetime, we continue the March to Mania with WWE Hall of Famer, good old JR, Jim Ross, joining us via satellite to talk about two more of the big marquee matches at WrestleMania. Along with that, we've got hot news and news on a huge win for Hulk Hogan against Gawker, and Sting speaks out. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the longest-running wrestling talk show in the world right here, right now on My 24 Milwaukee and Fight TV.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report PrimeTime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report PrimeTime Saturday night on the March to Mania. We are 1 week away from WrestleMania. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius, the Tiberius, the alleged backyard, one-time knockout, straight-edge, hardcore, Hall of Famer hero, and how the heck are ya? Here 1 week out from Mania.
I am jacked and ready to go to Dallas.
Is that right?
I am. I can't wait. All the super friends in Dallas. Some Nelson familyites will be in Dallas.
So much going on, including extended and expanded coverage from the Pro Wrestling Report of WrestleMania on the March to WrestleMania. But it all continues even here tonight on My 24 Milwaukee as we talk more about the big WrestleMania matchups and more about some big stories in professional wrestling, including Hulk Hogan and Sting. That all coming up. But first, I can't wait to get back to the satellite world and welcome our guest, good old JR, Jim Ross. Folks, the March to Mania continues, and it's brought to you, of course, by the Shenanigans VIP Party next Friday night in Dallas, hosted by Kevin Nash. You can't miss it, folks. Tickets are still available. A few tickets still available at PWRshow.com. The WWE Championship will be on the line at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, David, as Triple H defends against Roman Reigns. Match has been met with some excitement, but also met with a lot of skepticism. We're joined again here by WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross on the March to Mania to talk about this one in depth. But JR, before we get into this matchup at WrestleMania, tell us about your interpretation or your thoughts on Roman Reigns, especially the lack of fan support that we're seeing in many arenas across the country for this man going into the main event at WrestleMania.
Well, it's simply put, it's very easy to understand that apparently WWE stopped listening to their fans several months ago in as much as how they were responding to Roman Reigns, because it wasn't a lukewarm, it was okay babyface response. That really didn't exist to any degree. It was a very vociferous antagonist response to the talent. I think fans probably perceived that they were being force-fed this talent, and you're going to like him or else. And they didn't like that. The Defiant Society, it goes right along with our, several other walks of life. So yeah. I just think that basically Roman was miscast months ago. WWE has steered the course. It looks as if they're going to stay steering the course. But I certainly would consider this the quote-unquote unofficial double turn. It's really not a double turn. Roman Reigns is not a babyface.
Right. And
Triple H is not a heel. So if you can make that happen to some degree, where Reigns is accentuate his villainous, then you might have a hit on your hands. But it's going to be really a unique atmosphere in Texas, in AT&T Stadium in Texas.
All right, fair enough. On to the match. Triple H will main event against Roman Reigns, and seemingly the odds are stacked against Reigns, who would have likely won the Royal Rumble if not for Triple H, who entered the match at number 30. Triple H is the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, which a lot of people take issue with. I do not. But it seems apparent that coming out of WrestleMania, Triple H will no longer be champion, and this will be Reigns' night. But as you said, JR, it's going to depend a lot, or it's going to be interesting how the reaction is from the audience of 100,000 in AT&T Stadium if Roman Reigns does indeed defeat Triple H. If you were making this match, how would you book it? How would you make it happen? And who would win?
Well, I probably would have maybe have come out and have Vince or Stephanie in Triple H's corner, or have Vince enter the picture. I would have Rock in Roman Reigns' corner, and I would have Roman Reigns and Vince in collusion and leave them all laying. Triple H and Rock, and then I'd leave Reigns would leave as the champion. with Vince embracing that victory. It puts Triple H in his quote-unquote place by the old man. It gives Reigns a rub with Rock, which Reigns could certainly use, and I'm sure Rock would be willing to do. But I would do something where Reigns leaves as a villain.
Now, I love that scenario, but they already tried using The Rock to get Reigns over, if you will. I believe it was at last year's Royal Rumble, and that didn't even work.
Well, you try to get Reigns over as a babyface.
Yeah, true.
He's not a babyface. He has the wrong jersey. He's not that guy. So why the insistent way of we all keep looking and looking and looking for ways to make Roman Reigns wave the magic wand to come up with just the right creative? Hey, I'm telling you, Eddie Graham, Bill Watts, Ole Anderson, Pat Patterson, and Roy Shire and Vern Gagne can't make Roman Reigns a babyface right now. He needs to be a heel. The hotter he is as a heel, the more great matches you get out of him, and the hotter he is as a heel, when it's time, he'll be that much or more as a fan favorite.
JR, do you think they used Roman Reigns in the worst possible way at the Rumble when it was being advertised as one versus all, and the match wasn't everyone versus Roman Reigns?
I never understood the stipulation. I thought it was, again, a stretch or a reach, doing what they could to try to put the odds so drastically against Reigns that fans would give him the sympathy vote, have the empathy for his dilemma that he's in, but it didn't work. They still reacted all right, but not in a positive way. It's not a bad way. They have a feeling for the guy, which is really a start.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it as being a bad thing that Roman Reigns is getting booed. It's just unfortunate that the company is hell-bent on, again, you're going to like him or else, or or not, you're going to like him. We promise you.
Right.
So I think that's the issue. It's all in the presentation right now, and the presentation for Roman is not on the money.
Well, Jerry, you've got 3 big shows coming to Dallas as part of WrestleMania weekend. Tell us a bit more about what to expect at Ringside with Jim Ross.
Well, our tickets, much like your Shenanigans show, are getting scarce. We have 3 shows at the House of Blues in Dallas, which is right next door, essentially, to the American Airlines Center, where the Hall of Fame ceremony will be and Raw will be taking place. And on Saturday, April 2nd, I have a show at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that'll be over about 5:30, 5:45, a good hour before the Hall of Fame starts, which is an 8-minute walk away. Then after the Hall of Fame, we'll have our late night show, about 11. And
2 shows in one day. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we're going to do another show Monday night after Raw, about an hour after Raw ends. We're going to have another show. I got guests coming for 3. I got different guests for each show. They will join me on stage. We'll do a little kind of a unrecorded podcast, a little conversation, and then we'll go right into the Q&As. Mostly heavy on the Q&As. We'll have a host working the floor and with a wireless mic, and have a lot of fun. I'm going to be bringing some JR's products and some shirts and caps and sauce and jerky and even some things that the jerky and the sauce and the seasoning are TSA friendly, flying friendly.
What about the mustard?
I'll have plenty of mustard there.
Awesome.
I don't know if you can fly with it, but that's up to TSA. I wouldn't want to take my chances with it, quite frankly. Unless you put it in your checked baggage, you might get by with that. But in any event, it's going to be fun. Ticketmaster's got tickets. They start at $20. All 3 venues are going to sell out. We're on the cusp of that now, and each of them we're going to have about 3,000 tickets sold when all is said and done. So it's going to be a big success for us, and we thank all the fans that are coming. And if you do want to come, I'd probably move on those tickets. And that sounds like doing a telethon here, but there aren't many left. And when they're gone, they're gone, and we're not adding any shows because there's nowhere to add them.
Yeah. Well, tickets for the show are available at Ticketmaster.com. JR, we're going to see you again later tonight as we discuss the street fight between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose as the march to Mania continues.
Vince McMahon increases the stakes again at the Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania. JR joins us again to talk Ambrose versus Lesnar. All this and more coming up on Primetime as we continue the march to Mania.
At Gruber Law Offices, we understand that when you've been injured, life is tough. That's why we offer so many services for free. First call, free. First consultation, free. Stuck at home or in the hospital? We'll come to you for free. We'll deal with the insurance company for you and get you the help you need. Call Gruber Law Offices now. We don't get paid until you do, and your first consultation is always free.
Hey everybody, this is WWE Champion, Chicago's own straight edge superstar CM Punk, and you are watching PWR on My 24 Milwaukee.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, prime time Saturday night. You know, we should have JR on each week.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt.
Okay, I'll fly him up and he can...
Ooh, I get paid vacation. That would be fantastic.
No, we'd terminate your contract.
What? How did that work out last time?
Well, it's time for this week's
were upset about
hot news, ladies and gentlemen, which of course is brought to you by PWR Feedback Friday, where this week we discuss the departures of Bobby Roode and Eric Young from TNA Wrestling, along with your comments on our broadcast. That's every Friday at 5 p.m. exclusively at PWRshow.com and on Fight TV. Folks, Vince McMahon announced a huge stipulation for the Hell in a Cell match between Shane McMahon and The Undertaker at WrestleMania this past Monday night on Raw. McMahon stated that if The Undertaker does not win the match, it will be his last match at WrestleMania.
It just adds more fuel to the fire. Now, you know, it just makes everyone, it stacks the deck against Shane O'Mac.
Does this make it more or less likely that Shane will win or lose this match? Not sure that question is actually answerable.
No, it isn't. Yeah. You can't talk about that now. It's too soon.
Well, folks, Hulk Hogan scored a victory in his lawsuit against Gawker for the release of his sex tape earlier this week.
Now, hold on a second. Hogan got big money, right?
Hogan was awarded $115 million for initial damages and then another $25 million for punitive damages.
So it's $140
in the
million,
case.
right?
$140 million.
So
He was
Hulk
awarded by a
Hogan
jury.
Is going to get $140 million. How much will Terry Bollea get?
Well, Terry Bollea was the actual...
because, I mean, you know, the whole Hogan gimmick isn't as big as the Terry Bollea gimmick. So if Hogan's getting 140, then you got to figure Terry might be getting, what, 85?
Terry Bollea, real name of Hulk Hogan, has been awarded $140 million by a jury. Now, Gawker plans to appeal the case and claims they have evidence that Hogan was indeed aware that the tape existed, contrary to Hogan's claims that it did not. And they say they have text messages from Hogan to prove it.
Do you know that they have to put up a $50 million bond to go to appeals court?
They don't have the money. That's the problem.
So how are they going to do it?
I think the company made $9 million last year. However, the parent company of Gawker's company is worth several $100 million, so there could be money there to pay. Folks, the appeals process will likely take several more months, and there are many who believe that Gawker may not be able to pay the judgment assessed. Sting recently gave an interview to WWE.com addressing the TMZ reports and the report we gave you last week that he was retiring from pro wrestling. Sting said that he is not retiring and that he has not actually taken care of the surgery on his injured neck, as it is healing better than anticipated. Sting also revealed that he did plan to and want to have the long-discussed match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania in Dallas next weekend, but his injury prevented that from happening.
So imagine you're Sting. You leave TNA, you're the WCW icon, you come in for the big ballyhooed match at WrestleMania, you lose to Triple H. Okay. You then go, world title match against Seth Rollins, lose again. You're 0-2 in the company. You're thinking, I'll get a better payoff with Taker. Not gonna happen. Whose fault is that?
Sting's. 12 years in TNA. That's this week's hot news, ladies and gentlemen.
When you're diamond shopping, variety is important. At Robert Hack Diamonds, we'll show you multiple diamonds side by side underneath the microscope and show you what to look for when buying a diamond. GIA graduate gemologists are on staff for expert diamond grading. Robert Hack has affordable prices on all diamonds, including diamonds certified by the GIA. Need a mounting for your diamond? Our selection is huge. Buy your diamonds today at Robert Hack Diamonds or visit roberthackdiamonds.com.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
The PWR Event Center is brought to you by PWRshow.com, where you can subscribe to the PWR Now Network and watch all of our shows on demand. The hard-hitting action of Ring of Honor Wrestling returns to Milwaukee's Turner Hall on Sunday, June 12th. Tickets are available now at papstheater.org. Next Friday night, the biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend takes place in downtown Dallas. Kevin Nash will again be hosting the Shenanigans VIP party next Friday from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Nash won't be alone, though, as Billy Gunn, Al Snow, Terry Reynolds, Mean Gene Okerlund, and many, many more are at this exclusive party event. The party is only 5 minutes away from ROH and NXT, and we will be showing NXT TakeOver at the party for free. And more details and tickets, which are nearly sold out, are available now at PWRshow.com.
This week's DWHS is brought to you by the Super Friends Fan Fest coming to Milwaukee May 7th and 8th, featuring the Outsiders, Hall & Nash, Bobby Heenan, Mean Gene, and so many more. Head over to PWRshow.com for all the details. Damian, we've been talking about Dean Ambrose.
Yes, we have.
And Brock Lesnar.
Yes,
now, the last couple
we're,
weeks,
we're talking about that in a moment.
We have seen Terry Funk and Mick Foley.
We have.
Giving
and a
weapons,
chainsaw. And
giving weapons to Dean Ambrose to try to get him ready for his big no-holds-barred street fight, whatever kind of match you want to call it, with Brock Lesnar. My biggest concern is that Dean Ambrose is going to have all this knowledge and wisdom and gimmicks and weaponry and whatever else and still not beat Brock Lesnar.
But he will try so hard.
But here's the thing. How does that help Dean Ambrose? It doesn't. If you are tutored by Mick Foley and Terry Funk and you have a barbed wired bat and a chainsaw and still can't beat Brock Lesnar and lose, he's essentially burying himself.
Does somebody else do it this upcoming Monday on Raw?
Someone's going to have to.
Who?
And I don't know, but I'm guessing that those people will then be in Ambrose's corner. But it's not.
Oh, they can't come anywhere near Brock Lesnar.
Terry Funk will take a bump.
Yeah, there's no doubt he'll take it, but he shouldn't.
But so my biggest concern is that they could have done a match with Ambrose where he loses but still looks strong. But when you have all those legends helping you and you still can't get the job done, doesn't look too good for Dean Ambrose. Brock Lesnar is the man. Dean Ambrose is laid out. And with that, David Hero has spoken.
Well, you're trying to steal the thunder from JR coming up in the next segment, aren't you? We're talking about that match, Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar with JR.
Well, this is my show.
Trying to get all your stuff in.
Well, yeah. It's like a good indie show. No one cares if there's 50 people or 5,000 or 50,000. Get all your moves in.
Linda, let's hear what's next.
Jim Ross joins us to talk about Ambrose versus Lesnar at WrestleMania. And does JR agree with Damian and David's assessment of Dean Ambrose? Find out next on PrimeTime TV.
It's the biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Dallas. Join Nash and friends including Billy Gunn, Mean Gene Okerlund, Al Snow, ODB, and more for a VIP party event Friday, April 1st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling in downtown Dallas to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Dallas, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
The Soder family thought they'd take a road trip this summer. A little fun, a little sun. What could possibly go wrong? Even under the best driving conditions, semi-trucks can still be dangerous. The results of being in a wreck with 40 tons of steel and speed can be catastrophic. And it only gets worse when you don't have Gruber Law Offices on your side. If you or a loved one has been injured by a semi-truck, call Gruber Law Offices now. One call, that's all.
Folks, the March to Mania continues here on Primetime, and we're joined once again by WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross. And JR, before we get into the street fight between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania, let's talk about the absolutely tremendous Fight TV app, which you are playing a big part in. Of course, PWR programming available on Fight TV, that's F-I-T-E. But JR, you've played a huge role in the launch of this app and the content that is included with it.
Well, I had the opportunity, was brought the opportunity to invest in the app and have some ownership. And before we, oh yeah, it's another payday. It's a gimmick, another payday. I have an issue with that at this stage of my life. Certainly, it's not just about the paydays. I need to believe in something. So I used the app extensively for several weeks before I agreed to be involved with them on an official level. But it's right now we're north of 15 million downloads. It's a free app.
Wow.
If you like pro wrestling, if you like MMA, if you like boxing, movies, all kinds of unique events. There's free zones. shows like this, great opportunity to get out there and exposed to a large audience. A lot of smaller wrestling organizations are on it. We had the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view, which was a success. So we got a lot of cool wrestling stuff on there. And simply, I just tell people this. Hey, look, it costs you nothing to download it. FITE, Fight TV app. Download it for free and go browse through it. See what all we got. And the nice thing about it, if you got a smartphone or a smart tablet or a smart TV and Wi-Fi, you're in. That's all you need. So it's very simple, straightforward. But if you like combat sports of any nature, fiction or nonfiction, we're the place to be.
You know what's awesome about it too is you don't have to hook anything up.
No.
The app simply finds your Wi-Fi connected TV in your home or wherever you may be, and boom, you just feed that content right to your television. As you said, the content lineup is amazing on that app, and you can get lost in it for hours.
You can, and a lot of movies, and a lot of wrestling. And the thing that also about the MMA is that you see smaller groups. They got these young guys and gals that are fighting, and you know somewhere along the way you're going to see inevitably the next big thing. Somebody's going to come out of the woodwork and be the next main event on a UFC card somewhere down the road. So it's kind of fun doing that, and I also love watching the indie wrestling shows. Again, you get great heart, and you never know what you're going to discover there.
Yep. Well, that's Fight TV, FITE, available on both the iTunes and the Google Play Store for free. You can go ahead and download them now if you haven't already. But, JR, let's talk about another matchup at WrestleMania. It's the street fight between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose. Now, we've been pretty clear here on the Pro Wrestling Report about our thoughts of the Dean Ambrose character and how it sometimes seems a bit forced and maybe not even genuine at times, even though he is a tremendous athlete and performer in the ring. This match a bit unique, and we talked about it a little bit last week. You got Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, and JR, you said it seems like some people may just wanting to be tuning in to see how bad he's going to beat Ambrose next Sunday at WrestleMania.
Well, it's kind of like watching the Daytona 500. Do you watch to see who wins the race, or do you watch to see how many wrecks are going to be? I think that's what you got in this match. I don't think you're too concerned about how the outcome is going to be. That Brock Lesnar is going to win. So that's a foregone conclusion. And according to the internet wrestling community at times, that's a downer because the finish is predictable, which I'm saying in a facetious way. But I think that Lesnar and Ambrose, the difference in the match that makes it gives Ambrose the puncher's chance, shall we say, is the fact that it's a street fight where weapons are legal. Mm-hmm. So obviously Ambrose can use, he got the barbed wire baseball bat from Mick Foley as a gift, notwithstanding the fact that Paul Heyman now and Brock Lesnar won't be surprised if they see a barbed wire baseball bat, but be that as it may,
right.
The weapons gives Ambrose a little bit more of a fighting chance. I think they'll have a very entertaining match. I think anytime you get guys like Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar involved in a scenario, you have all the ingredients to have a win. And of course, all Ambrose has got to do is just listen to what those guys are, the traffic they're directing, and do his thing. So. And I'm with you as far as Ambrose. Sometimes his facial expressions are a little over-exaggerated, and sometimes then it takes me out of the moment. And sometimes he throws too many punches instead of 2 or 3 really good ones. There's a succession of less than good ones. But I like his attitude. I said on my Twitter account that I got a lot of feedback on it, some good and some bad, that sometimes he reminded me of Bill Murray, the comedian.
Really?
Sometimes he reminds me of Terry Funk. Sometimes he reminds me of Brian Pillman. And I don't know that maybe he doesn't know who he is yet. So, but he's a good kid, and he goes great effort. I know he wants to be great. He just has to find that groove, and that's a time thing. And it's not so well he had all these years in the Indies. The Indies and being in WWE is a different ball game. Ask anybody that's but done both. Different ball game. Yep. So I think that match will be pretty entertaining, quite frankly.
JR, don't you think he should be selling the injuries he's taken over the last 3 or 4 weeks going into this match? Maybe like the wounded dog?
Everybody should sell more. They forget what they did last week. I don't know if they're doing so much stuff, so much TV, they're on the road, or they're just not thinking. A lot of guys back in the day would write everything down they did at TV. So when they came to the next TV, they knew exactly what they wore, what they did, the whole 9 yards. You could ask Jim Cornette wrote down every finish, every match that he was ever in. He has all that, so he can go
pen
back.
and paper.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And he went back to Baton Rouge. He knew what the last 3 times he was in Baton Rouge, what he and his team did. It was smart.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think guys are that due diligent nowadays, and we see it all the time. It's not just WWE. You show me one wrestling show where the selling is excellent, and that might be the show that Josh Barnett and I do on Friday nights on Access TV, New Japan Wrestling. They sell consistently well, by and large, but the selling in the business is a lost art, fellas. So yeah, Ambrose could make a bigger deal. Hey, I'd be taped up, I'd be bandaged up, I'd be the wounded dog that's cornered, have nothing to lose, and come get me. That's what I would be. Come get me, you big bastard, and let's go.
You know, JR, you mentioned New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access TV. That airs Friday night. I've been tuning in as of late. You've been on there for several weeks now, starting back on March 4th. And you talk about tremendous wrestling action. And even what I was surprised by, because I hadn't been watching, the stories that are told are pretty deep. And I really thought it was going to be just wrestling, which is fine, but I'm intrigued by the stories and the journeys that were being taken on week to week on Access TV.
Well, I have, first of all, Access provides me with some really good producer notes, so I can kind of get caught up in the story, because as most people know, these matches are taped at a different point in time in the past. Not in the recent past, but not in the 70s, for God's sakes. It's not Young and Noki on the show, but it's a good program. I like the athleticism. I like the fact they work snug. They call it the strong style. I call it the Bill Watts style. It's Mid-South wrestling. You lock up like a man. You take bumps like a man. You take turnbuckles like a athlete. You hit the ropes hard enough to make a move, not just to lay in them. They're really fundamentally sound, and I like their physicality. So they sell well. But selling in general is a lost art, and if Ambrose could get a lot more empathy for his case and show that he's got the heart and fight by being bandaged up and then fighting through and then almost getting close, maybe getting a false finish or two on Lesnar thanks to the use of a weapon, but then at the end of the day, the beast incarnate eats him.
Well, JR, we look forward to seeing you next weekend in Dallas at your Ringside with Jim Ross shows. Shows on Saturday and Monday, I believe.
Yeah, Saturday, 2 shows Saturday, April 2nd, and 1 show after Monday Night Raw on April the 4th. And tickets are still available, but going fast at Ticketmaster.com for the House of Blues.
Excellent. Well, JR, it's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure and honor to have your insight shared with us and shared with all the viewers here on Primetime. And we thank you for the time that you've given us and appreciate all that you've done for the professional wrestling fans, and will continue to do as well, especially on the Ross Report podcast, which I believe drops Tuesdays on iTunes for absolutely free as well on the Podcast One network. JR, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you guys very much, and welcome to the Fight TV family. We're glad to have you.
Thanks, JR. Ladies and gentlemen, good old JR, Jim Ross. Folks, you know, the conversation continues here, and what great conversation we've had this week with good old JR, Jim Ross. Thank you for joining us. And, you know, when he talks about that Fight TV app, it is not, there is nothing that is being exaggerated. It's so easy, it's so simple, and it's available for free on your application store.
And who doesn't like easy and free?
And folks, the March to Mania does indeed continue here for the Pro Wrestling Report all week long. Special episodes of Primetime nightly, David Hero at 5 p.m. starting Monday. Every night at 5 p.m. starting
Central
Monday.
time, right? 5
p.m. Central, PWRshow.com, and Fight TV. And then Feedback Friday and Primetime Saturday will come to you live from the Iron Cactus in Dallas, Texas, the site of the 5th annual Kevin Nash Shenanigans Party. What a week it's going to be. We got Be the Bookers. We got...
insane.
We're talking about the Hall of Fame. We're talking about last year's WrestleMania, bridging to this year's WrestleMania, all next week. Every night, a brand new episode of the Pro Wrestling Report.
The beauty of it is we're down there with our friends. We're going to have a good time. I mean, yeah, WrestleMania is the cherry on top of the sundae.
WrestleMania is the low light of the weekend, actually,
but
me.
We have shenanigans. We have WrestleCon. We have a house party. We have so much stuff going.
That's supposed to publicly announce that. Until then, folks, for that one, this is Davey Nelson saying see you this week, every night, for special editions of Primetime.